Hey guys, Get Level here, and today we're making the cheapest ring light. Now recently I made a DIY ring light where the focus wasn't the amount of money spent, but basically all the features that I could get. It turned out to be $80, and turns out $80 is the exact price that you can buy a normal ring light. Now my personal ring light is more powerful than the ones that you can buy. It also has some extra features, it's voice controlled, it has a dimmer and all of that, but it was too complex. And I understand that some of you do not have access to a build like that, okay? So it got me thinking, how cheap can I make a ring light that is still pretty big? You know, because the size actually matters when it comes to a ring light. Small ring lights like that don't really give you that ring light feel because you really have to be close to the camera. And of course it has to be powerful, and then the overall effect needs to be convincing. So that's what I did. I'm gonna show you the whole build process. I'm gonna try to give you as much detail as possible without making it boring. So here's a montage of me making it and a voiceover. Okay, so let's start with the tools we will use. So we have scissors, a box cutter, a ruler, and hot glue gun. We're not gonna use that wood glue, but I thought I needed it. So I have this huge cardboard that you don't need it to be that huge, technically 50 centimeter by 50 centimeter. Twice is what I'm gonna use. I got inspired by the newer 50-inch, I think it's 50-inch, the newer ring light, one of the newer ring lights to get the dimensions. So my inner diameter is something like 34 centimeters. I'll make sure to put the inches on screen. So I'm just layering stuff on the table in order to get ready to cut. Put this in the middle in order to not cut through because I didn't want to damage the other side. As I said, I only ended up using a small part of this whole cardboard thing, so don't be too scared by the large amount of cardboard. I did not have one plain space without any folds, so I decided to cut half and join them together. I definitely thought there would be some structural integrity issues, but you will see later that did not happen. This is strong cardboard. Also, it's layered. It's double layer cardboard, so it's stronger than the usual. If you do not have double layered cardboard, you can definitely layer it yourself and actually use, you know, PVA glue or that wood glue that I had. So I created my DIY compass. I really need to invest in a compass. So it's just a thumbtack with a what is it, like a little wire. And then I mark the dimensions, and then I go through it with a pencil. So I just needed to do that inner diameter and outer diameter. I went with 10 centimeters when it comes to the thickness in a way. So between the inner and the outer, there's 10 centimeters. So I believe I went 34 for inner, so it was 44, or is it? Or maybe 38. I will correct myself on screen. Okay, there was some mistakes, so we had to erase a lot. So the goal here is to create the cheapest ring light possible. And I'm not gonna lie, there's a first part to this video and there's a second part. The first part is gonna be the cheapest possible and using the least amount of material and tools possible. So it's really accessible to everyone. So that cardboard, those scissors, I don't even think I used the scissors that much. And the hot glue gun is technically what you need. And then the only investment, assuming that you have access to cardboard for free, the only investment is gonna be an LED light strip that I paid 10 euros for. It's a white one. I already had an adapter, so definitely that wasn't included in the cost. But if you have to, you might have to buy an adapter. But 12 volts 2 amp adapters are very, very common, so I would be very surprised if you didn't have one lying around. Okay, so I cut it parts around what I was gonna cut for the final cut. It helped me practice a little bit and really get used to the actual cardboard strength and thickness, and I knew exactly how to cut it to have precise cuts. As you can see, I really took my time with the real cuts. It was really hard actually. It's me being very focused because since it's a circle, I'm going along and then against the grain of the cardboard. So the speed and how it would cut would change. And I did that for the second part, and then it was time to assemble it. I had two different parts. And if you put them together, you have your ring light. Your donut, basically. So, put them together with hot glue, and then I cut two little pieces that I would glue on in order to reinforce that whole structural integrity. It's not completely necessary, but I think that it, just in case you bump into it, it's not gonna bend. And of course, the prophecy of the hot glue gun is that I need to burn myself every single time. It's so annoying. So that's the second part. As you can see, only two little dabs of hot glue hold it in place. And here you can really see that double layered cardboard. It's so strong. It's super strong. It's really hard to bend. And there we have it. We have our donut for our ring light. Okay, so this is the LED strip that I'm using. So it's white, it's a cold white, it's 5 meters, and it has that 3M adhesive backing, which is perfect. Here I'm trying to spread it as much as possible. If you're only gonna use one strip and you're gonna do, you know, that $10, 10 euros one, I would definitely probably make that donut a little smaller when it comes to the thickness. Maybe not go 10 centimeters, maybe go 5 instead, so you can really have it packed together. In that case, I wanted to showcase a better version later on, so I had to have it that thick. Here I'm testing out diffusion. I start with parchment paper, which is great because you can buy a whole roll of it for like $1. I already have it in my kitchen. It's something that is technically part of the household, so I do not count the cost of that. And then printer paper, which is also, well, the same. It's also part of your house technically if you have a printer. I'm just testing it. I will end up not using the printer paper for the first build, but for the second build, I will not use diffusion at all. Here you can see me testing the intensity. I just closed the blind a little bit. It's still daylight, so it's not true. And here we have some cereal boxes. I thought that I was gonna be using a lot of it, but we ended up just using 1.5 of the cardboard that we need. And the goal here is to create the surroundings that will basically hold, that will keep some distance between our donut and I like calling it donut. Our donut and the diffusion paper, because you need some distance if you want the light to have some space to bounce around and create that soft light effect. You can see me testing out. So it's multiple strips like that I would just hot glue in all around until I have a complete closed space, just like that. Okay. And then for that cable, I wanted the cable to go around the back, so I cut a little hole and just drove it through it. This is not really necessary. You can just plug it from the front or whatever, or make a hole in the cardboard, the cereal box part. But I like it. It makes it kind of clean and official. So here I'm testing it once again. I tested it a lot throughout this because you never know, by moving around those cheap LEDs, I for sure thought that it was gonna break or something, but it did not. In the background here, you can kind of see my old ring light, my expensive build. I use Scotch tape in order to keep those cereal boxes strips together. Now it did not create something perfect. It wasn't a perfect ring. Here I'm putting printer paper, but I'm not going to use it. I'm just testing it here. And this is what it would look like if you actually use printer paper as the diffusion. It's pretty good. but unfortunately it cuts off a lot of the intensity. And since those lights are pretty powerful, but if you're gonna put diffusion that far away, I think it was 3.5 centimeters, you're gonna lose a lot of power. So if you do not want to lose power, you can just have the LEDs be very, very tight together and not use diffusion at all. So here I use Scotch tape on one side, then cut around to make it as close as possible to the actual thing. Only 2 sheets of parchment paper or cooking paper. And then I cut a bunch of slits and then held them together with Scotch tape. And the cheapest DIY ring light for that size and that power intensity at least was done. This is where you would stop if you really have the bare minimum and that $10 to spend. But don't worry, because we're gonna continue. If you have more budget to pour into this and you want to make a $20 version, this is what we're gonna do. Basically, we're gonna polish it, we're gonna make it look a little bit pro, but of course we're gonna use some paint, some spray paint, and I did not want to put that as part of the cost on the first part, because I know people in the comments were gonna say, yeah, but I don't have spray paint. So in that case, from now on, we're just going through something that's more expensive. Here I'm just showing how much paint goes through my mask filter. And then we have some reflective chrome spray paint, which I had lying around. I could have used tinfoil if you have adhesive, or just that wood glue would work probably. You could cover the inside, but we're gonna add a second strip, so we're gonna have so much power, so much light intensity that we don't even need all of that. And there it is. I just ordered a second one, so the total cost for me at least was $20, 20 euros. Yeah, total. Basically, I already had the power adapter, so we can just join them like that. I'm testing them to make sure that everything works before I install them. Always do that with your LED strips, by the way. And then I was ready to install the rest. As you can see, I had to take off what I did before and then put them back tightly together in order to take use of the space. It's not perfect, but again, it's gonna be twice as bright as before, as you can see here. So at this point, light is going everywhere. Plus the chrome spray paint really help. And this is what I decided to finish on. I tested the parchment paper again. I tested the A4 printer paper again, and diffusion didn't make sense because there's so many small little LEDs that the reflection in your eyes, you couldn't see them. Basically, you couldn't separate them, so the light was pretty much continuous and uniform, and that's what you want. Also, I did not want to lose brightness, so this is very bright, and yeah, that's what it took. I obviously there's a lot of labor here, but I think it's worth it if you don't want to pay, you know, a ring light for that size and that power, that brightness is gonna cost you between 80 euros up to 150. So I think for $10 or $20, it's definitely worth it. The materials are cardboard, but if you add that spray, anyone who comes to your place will not even believe that it's actually cardboard. Just with a little bit of labor, you can create your own stuff. Now, of course, we can add some crazy stuff like a smart dimmer if you want to make it voice controlled or remote controlled or controlled with your smartphone. You can add a switch if you just want to have it on off. Right now it doesn't have any of this. I gave it away to my best friend Nova because she takes pictures and she also streams, and she's in need of a ring light. I'm not gonna use it personally. I already have mine. And as you can see here, the sun is right behind me, so this is really bright. Here it is. It's a little smaller than my older ring light, but it's way cheaper and it's almost just as bright. So sitting on a tripod, and yeah, this was a great project. It really shows that you do not need to break the bank in order to get your gear. And that's how I made the cheapest ring light possible when it comes to that type of intensity, the size of the ring light. And I believe it's hard to beat, you know, the $10 mark, the 10 euros in my case. Obviously, I know that I had material. If you don't have a hot glue gun, you might want to buy this. But even if you bought all the material, including the box cutter and stuff like that, it still would not be as expensive as a normal ring light of that size and that power, that light intensity, if you will. So I think this one is definitely worth it. Of course, if you do not want to do all the labor, all the manual labor, you can always buy one. But hey, I'm trying my best to make it accessible to a maximum amount of people. And I understand that some people do not have more than 10 bucks to invest in a ring light. And that's my goal here. If you have more than that and you feel like this video is not for you, I'm sorry, I didn't know. I don't know you, so that video wasn't for you. I'm sorry, I can't make a video that applies to everyone. Anyways, hopefully you guys picked up a couple of techniques. Technically, you could also make light panels, right, with that technique. And if you would like to see that, let me know in the comments below. If you're looking for some dope overlays to make your channel look good, that's at gumroad.com/GuileLevel. Again, very accessible. Pretty much half of the overlays are completely free and the rest is very affordable, and all of them are high quality, made by yours truly. And that's all for today. If you have any ideas about future DIYs or just string gear that can be made as DIYs, just let me know and I'll take a look at it. But for now, I will see you guys next time. Stay inside if possible. Still, continue to wash your hands, be cautious, make me proud, and GuileLevel out.